I was lying in bed last night listening to the wind howl, and I had this weird realization.
Oh, yeah.
We tend to think of our homes as these static objects. You
Right.
buy it, you park your stuff in it, maybe paint a wall.
Right.
But if you really stop and look at it, a home is much more like a biological system, or even better, a fortress.
A fortress is a very apt metaphor. Go ahead.
Right. It has armor, it has a respiratory system, ventilation, it has a drainage system, and it's under constant, relentless siege.
That is a dramatic way to put it, but you're absolutely right. I mean, UV radiation, rain, wind, hail. Your house is fighting a war against nature 24/7.
Exactly. And if you aren't maintaining the defenses, nature eventually wins.
It always does.
And that's the vibe I got from the research we're digging into today. We were doing a deep dive into Safeguard Construction Company, Inc.
Mm.
Now, usually when we talk about contractors, we think guy with a truck and a hammer.
Mm.
But looking at these sources, Safeguard feels less like a handyman and more like, I don't know, the heavy reinforcements.
I think that's the right way to frame it. Safeguard's been around since 2006, based out of Aurora, Illinois, but they've expanded their perimeter a lot.
Right.
They're serving Wisconsin around Cottage Grove and Indiana as well. And you're right, contractor feels a little small for what they actually do. They really position themselves as restoration specialists.
Restore. That word implies bringing something back to health, not just, patching a hole.
Precisely. Their whole identity is built around storm damage recovery and exterior upgrades. But, before we even get into the nuts and bolts of it, there was one detail in their profile that really jumped out at me.
Was it the Se habla español?
It was.
I noticed that too. Why did that stick out to you?
Well, think about the stress of a home repair. Your roof is leaking. It's chaotic.
Total chaos.
Now imagine trying to navigate complex construction terms or insurance jargon in your second language. By explicitly saying that, Safeguard is doing something really smart. They're lowering the barrier to entry for a huge part of the community.
That's a great point. It's about building trust from the very first step.
It is.
So let's go back to this fortress analogy. The most obvious shield is the roof.
Mhm.
Safeguard lists it for residential and commercial. But here's my question, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here. A roof is just shingles, right? How complex can it really be?
See, that is the misconception that costs homeowners thousands of dollars.
Mm.
A roof isn't just a layer of shingles. It's more like a thermal engine.
The thermal engine, okay.
Safeguard's materials emphasize proven installation techniques and energy efficiency, and those two things are completely linked.
Okay, unpack that for me. How does a roof affect my energy bill?
Think about your attic in the summer. That roof is just baking. If the ventilation system isn't balanced perfectly, that heat gets trapped. It cooks your shingles from the bottom up, and it radiates down, making your AC work overtime.
So it's not just a hat for the house, it's a heat exchanger.
Exactly. And if you mess it up, you get ice stands in the winter and an oven in the summer.
Which brings us to the armor of the fortress, the siding. Now, I feel like siding is the thing people ignore the most. It's just, the color of the house.
Is the color, sure. But Safeguard calls it the first line of defense. And they are not exaggerating. I mean, think about what siding actually does. It takes the beating so the structural wood of your house doesn't have to.
But isn't it just plastic strips? How much defense are we really talking about here?
Well, consider what happens if that plastic strip, which is usually vinyl, though they also do fiber cement, if that siding cracks or warps.
It looks ugly.
It looks ugly, but physically you've just opened a breach in the fortress. Water gets behind it, then you get rot, and you get mold.
Okay.
And thermally, you've broken the seal. The source material is clear. If your siding is warped, you have gaps in your insulation. You are literally bleeding heat.
So they're not just selling curb appeal, they're selling structural integrity?
It's about creating a sealed barrier, a continuous skin.
Okay, so we have the shield, the roof, and the armor, the siding. But a fortress needs gates and viewing ports. We have to talk about windows and doors.
The openings. In any defensive structure, the openings are always the weak points.
And also the weak points for my bank account, apparently. The sources are very specific. Old windows cost you money, but is it really enough to justify replacing them? I feel like that's always the promise, but is the math real?
The math is absolutely real, especially with thermal transfer. I mean, old single-pane windows are basically holes in your wall.
Yeah.
In the winter, you're paying to heat the neighborhood. But there's another factor here that isn't even about money.
What's that?
Sound. The sources mention a quieter home.
Oh, that's huge. I hadn't even thought of that.
It really is. When you upgrade to a modern window, You aren't just blocking the cold, you're blocking the street noise, the lawnmowers, the traffic. It changes the whole psychology of the home.
That makes sense. A drafty house feels cheap. A quiet house feels like a sanctuary. And then doors, they do everything from grand front entrances to patio sliders.
And again, it's a dual function.
Huh.
A nice front door is curb appeal, sure, but a worn-out door with a loose frame is a massive security risk.
So it's a security upgrade and an aesthetic upgrade. I like that win-win.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to pivot to something that I think is arguably the least sexy topic in the entire world of home improvement.
I know exactly where you're going.
Gutters.
The humble gutter.
I hate them. I hate cleaning them. But the research suggests that ignoring them is basically suicide for your house. Why?
Because water is the ultimate enemy of a foundation. When it rains, your roof collects thousands of gallons of water. If your gutters are clogged, all that water just pours over the edge and lands right next to your foundation.
And that leads to that hydrostatic pressure thing.
Exactly. The soil swells, it pushes against the basement walls, cracks form, and suddenly you have water in your basement. Safeguard calls it major headaches, which is a very polite way of saying tens of thousands of dollars in repairs.
That is terrifying. But they offer a solution for the lazy homeowner, right? Gutter guards.
It's the best upgrade you can make if you hate climbing ladders. It just keeps the junk out so the water can flow.
And a quick note from the sources, they do this for multifamily places too.
Right, for condos, townhomes, HOAs, that's a whole different beast. The fact that they operate at that scale suggests they have serious logistical capacity. This isn't a one guy in a truck operation.
Okay, so we've established they can build and repair the fortress. But this is where the story takes a turn that I did not expect.
You're talking about the strategic edge.
Yeah. Because when a storm hits, the physical damage is only half the battle. The other half is the war with the insurance company.
And this is where Safeguard really separates itself from the pack. They have a specific arm called Safeguard Public Adjusters, Inc.
Okay, we need to stop here and explain this. I've heard the term public adjuster, but what does it really mean? Is this just another middleman taking a cut?
Okay, think of it this way. When you file a claim, the insurance company sends an adjuster, right?
Right.
Who pays that adjuster?
The insurance company.
Exactly. So their job is to limit the company's liability. They are looking for reasons to pay you less. A public adjuster works for you.
So they're like your lawyer for the roof.
That's a brilliant analogy.
Yeah.
And there's a key figure here. Kevin C. Schultz, the owner.
I saw that name.
He didn't just start a business. He literally wrote a book on this. It's available as a free ebook or on Amazon.
Wow.
The fact that the owner of the construction company wrote the manual on public adjusting is a massive signal of authority.
But wait, do insurance companies hate this?
Oh, absolutely. The sources explicitly say insurance companies often discourage homeowners from hiring them.
Which feels like a giant red flag.
Huge. As Safeguard points out, if the person who owes you money is telling you not to get professional help to count that money, you probably need professional help.
So give me a scenario. What does this actually look like?
Okay, say you have hail damage. The insurance adjuster comes out and says, okay, we'll pay to replace the front slope of the roof. But your shingles are 10 years old. The new ones won't match the old ones.
So my house looks like a patchwork quilt.
Exactly. A public adjuster knows about matching laws in your policy. They can argue, no, because you can't match it, you owe the homeowner a full roof. That's the difference between a $5,000 check and a $20,000 check.
That is incredibly valuable. It turns the contractor from just a laborer into an advocate.
It levels the playing field completely.
So they fix the damage and they fund the fix. But there's one more pillar. Safeguard Solar LLC.
Right. Construction, adjusting, and now energy.
This feels like a natural evolution, but why combine them? Why not just hire a separate solar company?
Because of the finger-pointing game. It's a classic nightmare. You get a new roof from Company A, then you hire Company B for solar panels. A year later, there's a leak.
Oh, I see where this is going.
The roofer says, the solar guys drilled holes in my work. Warranty's void.
And the solar guys say, nope, the roof was weak.
And you're stuck in the middle with a bucket catching water. By bringing solar in-house, Safeguard eliminates that risk. One team, one number to call.
That peace of mind is worth a lot. It simplifies the whole transition to energy independence.
It's a true one-stop shop.
I love the logic of that. So we've looked at the promises, the hardware, the insurance help, the solar, but the brochure is poetry, right? The review section is the police report? What are actual humans saying?
You can tell a lot by the specific words customers use.
Give me some examples.
Look at the feedback on a guy named Obed Perez. We have reviews from Sarah Martinez and Eddie G.
Mm.
They don't just say good job. They describe him as calm and overly communicative.
Calm is an underrated quality in construction.
Totally. And they say he offered options without being pushy. Then you have Igor. Reviewers praise his coordination. Everything was completed in no time. He's the logistical glue.
And I saw a shout out for a sales rep named David. A reviewer said he acted like a true contractor, which I take to mean he actually understood the build. He wasn't just a sales guy.
Right. But if we really want to understand the technical difference between Safeguard and the other guys, we have to talk about the story from Dick Reederer.
Oh, the middle estimate story. I highlighted this too. This is the smoking gun for why the cheapest quote is so dangerous.
It really is. So Dick gets multiple quotes. Smart homeowner. Safeguard comes in at the median price.
The sweet spot. Not cheapest, not most expensive.
Right. But Dick specifically rejected the lowest quote, and here's why. The cheap company was going to use 15-pound paper under the shingles. Safeguard was using a synthetic water barrier.
Okay, pause. Get nerdy for a second. Is there really a big difference? Paper is paper.
No, this is huge. 15-pound paper is basically asphalt-saturated felt. It's old tech. It rips easily. It wrinkles when it gets wet. It gets brittle. If shingles blow off, that paper is your only defense, and it tears like, well, paper.
And the synthetic stuff.
It's an engineered woven material. It's
Yeah.
incredibly strong. You can't tear it with your hands. It'll build water better, but it also breathes to let moisture out. The fact that this customer noticed that proves Safeguard was competing on the quality of the invisible layers.
That's the key, isn't it? It's the stuff you don't see that actually protects you.
Exactly. And the outcome. Dick said the crew worked until dusk, cleaned up perfectly. He mentioned no wayward nails, which is a miracle, and they handle a rain delay professionally.
That really drives the point home. And finally, there's the loyalty factor. I saw a review from a Bijan Nickervan.
Yes, Bijan has worked with them for years on multiple issues. He calls out the team by name. He mentions the family feel. When you have customers coming back repeatedly, that's the best indicator.
It shows they're not just transactional. They want to be a partner for life.
Precisely.
So let's bring this all back to where we started. If you're listening, looking at your own fortress, what is the big takeaway here?
The takeaway is that Safeguard has built a complete ecosystem. They provide the shield and armor with roofing and siding. They secure the openings with windows and doors. They manage the water.
And then they wrap it all in the war chest, the public adjusting and energy independence with solar.
It's about lasting results. It's peace of mind. Knowing that if a storm hits, you have someone who knows the physical structure and how to fight the insurance battle.
If you want to reach out to them, it's pretty easy. Their number is 866-95-ROFS. That's 866-957-6637. Or you can find them online at safegc.com.
And definitely look for that ebook by Kevin Schultz if you're confused about the insurance claims process.
Yay.
It's a fantastic resource.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up, here's something I want you to think about. Next time you pull into your driveway, don't just look at the color of your house. Look deeper. Ask yourself, what is the state of my fortress?
Think about the synthetic barrier under the shingles, the thermal seal on the windows, the negotiation strategy for the next storm.
Are you paying attention to the invisible layers that actually protect you, or are you just looking at the surface? Food for thought. Thanks for diving in with us.
Until next time.